Okay, so thanks everybody for joining us today. We have Nathan Wilkins on with us from Highland Home Inspections, right? Yes,
Hi,
I
everyone.
said that right. So Christy suggested him to us, so we're really excited to hear from him today. And I'm just gonna hand the floor over to you. Yeah, go ahead, Nathan.
Awesome. Well, nice meeting everyone. Again, I'm Nathan with Highland Home Inspection. Quick, it's definitely not going to last a whole hour, so you don't have to hold your breath there. I just want to kind of go over who I am, my company, and then give a brief kind of introduction to Seroscopes for you guys to kind of give a good understanding of why we do it and kind of the reasons why we do it. About me, I started the home inspections in March of 2020. Not the best time to start, but it was a unique time and certainly have given me a good direction of where I want to take my company. It was me, I was the solo guy, and right now we have five. We have five inspectors, including myself. So I have 4 local and I have 1 in Whatcom County. He's Craig Nelson. He's up there as a satellite, and he takes care of all my requests that far north, all the way down to about Marysville or so. He may go to north of Everett, but sometimes he can't make it. But the company, we strive on being focused on our customers, and that's our clients. Having a good relationship with our realtors that we work with is key for us to give the clients that customer service, 5-star service that we're trying to provide through inspections. We are really detailed oriented to help the client. A quick kind of overview of our inspections. We typically will last about 2 hours, maybe 2.5 hours if we throw the Seroscope in there. We're not the fastest, but we're not the slowest either. I think 2.5 hours is probably an average. We're very thorough when we do our inspections. It's very key for us to be thorough because we understand we're there for a reason, and that's to kind of provide some kind of protection layer for the client while doing inspections. A little bit about my guys. So Craig Griffin, he's a Bremerton firefighter. He's one of my part-time guys. He has a lot of experience in residential construction. Eric Edwards, he's actually my wife's uncle, so it's kind of fun working with him. He has 30 plus years in residential construction experience and is really, really good at his flips and stuff. He's been doing flips for years. He's really good at that. Understands the industry, technology, and brings it all together and is golden in the field. And then our newest member is actually Jeff Otto. We just got him signed on. He passed his test last week, and he's super excited to kind of be moving forward. So I'm going to be helping him understand the ropes and get his clients going. And then again, Craig Nelson, he's up north. He's been around for probably about a year now, and is doing a great job. He's very thorough and very knowledgeable when it comes to inspections. We just strive to be really honest and forthright with our inspections and with our clients. And with that, I do want to ask if there's any questions about my services or any type of areas or anything that you guys have, and then I'll jump in the Seroscopes. Like I said, definitely not going to be an hour, but yeah, please shoot me any questions that you got. Awesome. I'll move on here. Let me get this set up and I'll try to share screen. 1 second. All right. So a brief introduction to Seroscopes. The equipment we use, we have 2 Seroscopes currently. We're working on getting a 3rd and actually really a 4th. I do want Craig up north to have one as well. But the more people I get, obviously, I don't want to be juggling scopes. So I'm going to have to hunker down and buy another one. But we use Insight Vision sewer cameras. The one right in the center, that's the tablet version, it's the newest version. And then the one on the right-hand side, that's the ROGTK. And they're really, with these, it's not just a quick throw it down there and take a look. We get video, we get snapshots. We can add certain things while the camera is actually recording to show that there's a root intrusion or show that there's a belly in the actual line. For those that don't know, a belly is where the pipe has kind of settled a little, and it's easy enough to say that's just where a little bit of water buildup has occurred. So you're talking maybe 1 inch tops or 2 inches, depending on how much that pipe has settled. Pipe materials are generally clay, concrete, cast iron, Orangeburg, and then ABS and PVC. Clay pipe, let me move you guys out of the way here. I can't read all this. Uh-oh. All right, clay pipe was used from 1980s to 1930s. Average life of clay pipe is 50 to 60 years. Clay pipe comes in 2 to 4 inches, or sorry, 2 foot to 4 inch. Oh, okay, here we go. 2 foot to 4 foot sections. Modern clay pipe should hold up to 2,000 psi. So when that's good to know when you have a clay pipe and you want to clear it. I would not suggest doing hydrojetting. That's a lot of pressure and can potentially crack when you're pushing it through. I would just keep to your rotor if there's some kind of blockage. Clay pipe is resistant to chemicals, and the downfall is a lot of root intrusions and cracks. You'll see here, these are from one inspection I did in Seattle. On the left-hand side, you see the vertical shifting the pipe. So that's actually the pipe hasn't settled. That section has actually been lifted. And that's just from a lot of different combinations of construction going on in the area. This is I believe a 1905 on the East Bank in Seattle. And it was at the very top of the hill, and the pipe was probably vertically about this, so it was very, very steep line going down. And before that, as you can see for the footage there's crack in the piping as well as root intrusion. So that root intrusion is on the very top of the picture. We do see that a lot, and it's very common. Most times, if it's not blocking the actual flow, which is really just the very bottom of that pipe, it's noted. Typically, if we think it's going to be blocking, meaning it's going to grab some toilet paper, it's going to grab stuff that's going to be going down the sewer line, then we usually suggest okay, let's get that either hydrojetted or rotor-rooted out just to clear it. That way there is no blockage. And then there's concrete pipe. This is the first sanitary sewer pipe in the U.S., and it was in Mohawk, New York in 1842. The gravity sewer line was reported to be active. That line was reported to be active in service until 1984. Most were installed in mid-1930s to 1970s. And again, most are in 4 foot to 6 foot sections. And here's some views of what concrete pipe looks like. You can see on the very bottom that you have your gravel, your aggregate in the concrete. And that sometimes it's obviously from water wear, but that sometimes can actually grab stuff and hold it, especially when there's a route that you can see on the left-hand side. There's like a trail where the water is actively going. That definitely at the 38.7 feet root intrusion, that definitely needs to be cleared. And then on the left-hand side, you can see that there's root intrusion. Sometimes it just looks like some type of something underneath the ocean there. That it's not, doesn't look like big giant roots. Most of the time you're looking at very, very small roots. The reason why roots are in the pipes is at the joints or at cracking. And they're looking for water, obviously. And where is there a lot of water? In the sewer. Cast iron. In most cases, cast iron sewer pipes should last about 75 to 100 years, normally in residential applications. In commercial applications, lifespan's definitely short, and that's from a lot of like the grease chemicals used in construction or in commercial applications. Cast iron sewer pipes are very common in homes built in 1974. I don't see the top thing there. Oh, ooh, look at that. All right, from 1900 to 1974. To this day, many commercial properties are still constructed with cast iron pipes, although most manufactured cast iron piping have turned to ductile iron pipe. Ductile iron pipe is stronger and more resilient, and that's more resilient to the chemicals being used. There's a couple of pictures of cast iron. The downfall of cast iron is it does build up and will corrode on the inside. Very simple to galvanized plumbing inside the home for the distribution lines inside the home. That's a lot of minerals. It could be other substances, but at certain times it could actually create a blockage, a complete blockage. And that's going to obviously build up your sewer line. And once it's at that point, the only real fix is to replace the piping. Orangeburg was used from 1860 to around 1970. It's also known as fiber conduit. A lot of other bituminous fiber pipe. The fiber pipe made from layers of wood pulp and pitch pressed together. The name comes from Orangeburg, New York, the town in which Orangeburg Pipe was manufactured. The wood pulp that has been sealed with coal tar. Orangeburg has been described by some plumbing professionals as nothing more than a coal tar impregnated toilet paper tube. It's in these next pictures, you'll see why. That has lasted as long as it has for some sort of miracle, we say. How long does it actually last? Orangeburg pipe is constructed from several layers of wood pulp and pitch, and it is the shortest lived sewer line material, a life expectancy of 30 to 50 years. A quick story behind it as I show you the pictures here. How we can tell we're going through Orangeburg is typically because of the blisters on the bottom. That's where water over time obviously has saturated those layers and it starts to blister. And there's Orangeburg in my backyard from our neighbors, and they just had to recently replace about 30 section of their pipe, which unfortunately was in our backyard. But they're all good with PVC now. But Orangeburg, it will collapse, and it'll shut on itself. So it's not necessarily structurally capable of holding the soil on top or the soil on the sides. ABS pipe. ABS started around 1975. It's plastic piping emerged as a low cost and easy to repair alternative to metal materials. It's typically referred to the black piping. ABS was the first plastic form of piping to be used in residential construction. And it stands for a whole bunch of fun names down there I'm not going to try to pronounce. ABS pipes typically found inside the home. Here's a quick shot of it. Typically, as inspectors, we'll see it in the crawl space, and we'll see 3-inch to 4-inch piping. And if we're lucky, there's going to be a good clean out in the basement or on the exterior. PVC. A PVC pipe began to be manufactured in the 1940s and was in wide use for drain waste and vents for piping during the reconstruction of Germany and Japan. In 1952, the first PVC wastewater pipes lay in the U.S. PVC was designed to last for long periods of time, typically over 100 years, and it usually comes in 20-foot lengths. There are two different colors. What we're seeing a lot now is the green, and that's SBR 35. That's being used when I've seen it a lot in Seattle. It's going to be the main 6-inch line, and they're starting to do more in Pierce County, changes, especially in any of the new construction areas. There's going to be the green or the white. Typically, it's the green for the main line. You'll hit what we usually see on a new build is the black ABS, and then that connects to the white PVC or to the green PVC. The corners typically are all white, so you'll go from white or green to white and then back to green, and usually enter a large green for the main. So hydrojetting versus snaking. So let's talk about cleaning the pipes. If we do find root intrusions, as you've seen in previous slides, I prefer, if the material can sustain it, the hydrojetting. Hydrojetting is basically clears out and cleans. It's pressurized water. It's almost, think of it as a pressure washer clearing the pipes. I think it does the best job. It's not just in there kind of tearing stuff up. It actually pushes everything out to the main sewer line. So you're not having to flush your system later. It's not only is it clearing and cleaning, but it's flushing at the same time. Benefits of a sewer scope. Gives the clients at least a baseline of the sewer condition. I say at least, and that's the best case scenario. If we do a scope and everything's good, well, they now have video of their sewer line, and they'll be able to use that in case something does happen, and they can almost use that if there is root intrusions on the next scope. They can use it as a baseline as well of how their growth is in that sewer line. It typically finds damages and blockages if there are any. And sewer repairs are costly. I would arguably say the most expensive in the industry, depending on the sewer company that you use or the plumbing company. It could be 40s, 10s, 20s, 40s, thousands of dollars to fix sewer line. And that's arguably more than a new roof. So our sewer scope fees on residential or standalone scope is $275. Our add-on to the inspection, which is our most common, is $235. And if we do have to pull a toilet, it's an extra $55. Sometimes we don't even charge that. Commercial or standard fee is $325. Entry areas, so cleanouts. This is going to be our easiest entry area, and hopefully it's outside. We'll just unscrew that and scope from there. If we have to, we'll go on the roof vent, and that's going to be for the main vent. We'll use the roof vent prior to pulling the toilet, as long as it's not raining or there's no standing snow, and if it's at or under a 412 pitch roof. Anything steeper, it's just not safe with the heavy equipment up there. And we'll use the toilet flange if we got to pull the toilet. That's going to be our easiest access if there is no other access, no clean out, or if the crawl space is too small for us to get access to, or again, if the roof is too steep. And there is a section on the Form 35, which I believe is the inspection form. I think it's 1A, where you can check for sewer scope, where it gives permission to pull the toilets. Overview, sewer scopes are in your client's best interest, and I can ask any questions if you disagree with me on that. Main material defects we find is clay, which is a weak material, can crack. Usually we find root intrusions and there's movement. Concrete, usually the only two things we find is a lot of root intrusion and movement. It doesn't necessarily crack unless it's split on a vault or something weird like seismic activity has split that pipe. Cast iron, there's cracking. Cast iron does crack. When that mineral buildup inside is starting to kind of push on itself, it will split the pipe. Root intrusions and mineral buildup that you saw, and then complete blockages. Orangeburg, weak material, can blister and can have a complete collapse. ABS and PVC, I kind of combine the plastics all together. Root intrusion and at connection points. I just did one actually this weekend on Friday, and from the home, it was ABS to PVC, and there was root intrusion right at that connection. It wasn't quite sealed properly, or there wasn't glued properly, and roots got in. Any questions?
I was pushing on the wrong place to unmute myself, but so say you do a sewer scope and you find that there's a lot of root intrusion. So is that like a second appointment to go out and do like the pressure washing or roto-rooter?
Yes, yeah, we don't provide that service. That's definitely going to be from a plumbing company. And I would suggest for you and your clients to do your research. Don't just call Harts, don't just call Roto-Rooter. They're going to basically charge you the most. I know Flowhawk, they're local and they are a little bit better. Or Riverman. Well, yeah, just kind of look and price them out. Typically for a residential home, it should be between 300 and 600 for a hydrojetting. Depends on how far we got to go or they have to go. And I would suggest getting an inspection afterwards in certain, say for concrete or clay, especially if they clear it. I say we as inspectors, we can't find particularly why there's root intrusion, and it's not in a seam where the pipes connect. There's obviously going to be a crack, and there should be eyes on to see how big that crack is if there needs to be a repair.
Got it. And then also going back into one of your slides, the toilet pole. So I was confused because I don't know what that is, but then you had referenced bringing equipment up on the roof to do a toilet pole. So what exactly is a toilet pole and how does that benefit them?
So the vents, so the clean out, there's actually a plumbing vents that go to the roof. So that doesn't associate anything with the toilet. We will go on the roof if we can prior to pulling a toilet, because it is an extra fee and it's a lot more time for us as the inspector. So we'll, if we can, if it's usually typically Ramblers in Tacoma are easy to get on the roof. And if there's no clean out in the crawl or clean out in the exterior. So basically homes between 1900 to 1950s or so. Those are the ones we're probably gonna have to get on the roof on if it's a Rambler in Tacoma and Seattle. But yeah, pulling the toilet. So we pull the toilet and take it out and just use a flange.
Okay, gotcha. Awesome.
Also regarding pulling the toilet, if you do have the toilet pulled, you have to get the seller's permission to do that. You can get that through the listing broker, but you wanted that in writing. So if they get to the, well, one suggestion would be too, when you get an offer accepted, ask the seller / listing broker, hey, do you have a clean out? Do you know where it is? So the inspector isn't spending 30 minutes trying to find a clean out that maybe doesn't even exist.
That too.
If they say, no, there's no clean out, then say, okay, is it a Rambler or is it, a 3-story home in North Tacoma? If it's a 3-story home in North Tacoma and there's no clean out, say, okay, can you please send me an email in writing saying that that sounded dumb, an email in writing, obviously, but email stating that we have permission to pull the toilet. Hopefully we can find a clean out, but get that in writing, because if they pull the toilet and then put the toilet back on, it starts to leak and all that, whatever, you don't want to be liable for that. So
Yeah.
Yeah, you as realtors don't want to be liable for it. And we don't want to be liable for us putting the toilet back on that's leaking either. I thought I saw on a form, the inspection form is at the 35, form 35.
correct.
On 1A, I believe, A is when it comes to sewer inspection. And if it's checked, it actually does say on the very bottom, if I remember correctly, I don't have it in front of me, that the inspector is able to be evasive as far as finding clean out and pulling a toilet.
Oh, no way. See, you're educating me. If that's the case, that might be, I was always taught that, but so I stand corrected. If I'm going to look into that while we continue to talk, because if you're right, then I completely take back what I just said. Here it is. Buyer's inspection of the property may or may, if not checked, include an inspection of the sewer system, which may include a sewer line video inspection and assessment, and may require the inspector to remove toilets. I stand corrected. Yep. If that's been signed, then you're good. And of course it's been signed.
Yeah, if that's checked, then I would, unless they specifically say no scope, always check that box. That way we're all covered.
Yeah, so my bad. Good. Thanks, Nathan. That was I
just recently saw it. I'm not anything special there. I just recently saw it. So
I feel like that wasn't always there, because I know when I got in the business 6 years ago, there was a lot of emphasis made about that. So I think they may have added that, and I just never noticed that. So thank you for the correction on that. That's awesome.
Oh, no problem.
Very cool.
So I'm going to stop share. Hopefully I did that right. There we go. But yeah, any other questions? Anything from sewers to inspections.
Well, it might be outside your expertise, which is fine if it is, but do you know much about, and I'm sorry, my audio had actually cut out for like a minute when you were talking, so maybe you're gonna be like, yeah, I already mentioned this. But did you talk about, I think they're called socks, like a sock liner?
I did not, no, but yeah, there is that capability. So instead of, there's a couple ways to fix clay and or cast iron and or concrete. I would argue that concrete would be the best material to use for the sock. It's basically like a plastic material that follows through and will seal. If your clay line is, for the most part, clean and in good condition, to preserve that and give it a little bit more, because it basically, so it's this clay that will form to anything but then harden. Plastic that will form to anything and then harden. So it actually gives the clay pipe a lot more stability as well, while sealing all the way to the main sewer line. When it comes to, if your sewer line's cracked almost beyond repair, they do what is called a breakage, where they'll go from the main sewer line. There'll be almost like a plug that's breaking your clay pipe all the way to where you need it, and that puts in new plastic piping. And that's what I believe the quote unquote no dig is, as well as the socks are no dig. So if you see the sewer line companies or plumbers saying that they do no dig repairs, that's typically what they'll be doing.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah, I think, one thing I just like to always remind people of with when it comes to inspections and in our industry as a whole is like, don't advise beyond what you're licensed to advise. So,
Right.
If you have an inspector who says, here's a 40 to 80 page inspection report, here's all the problems that I found, and your buyer asks you a question that you don't feel 100% comfortable answering, don't answer it. Say, that's not my, that's not my job. You can say, if they're like, hey, there's no caulk around the bathtub, is this a major concern? You can say, I don't know if it's a major concern. Maybe I'm being a little too careful here, but you can say, it comes up in almost every single inspection report. And most of the time, the seller's not going to caulk their bathtub. And the inspector, of course, is going to call it out. That was just a random example. So you can give advice like that. But what you really don't want to say, especially in writing, is, oh, no, don't worry about that. It's not a big deal. About pretty much anything. And if you are going to say that, like I have done with caulk around the bathtub, because again, that's like my go-to example of something that comes up in every freaking inspection report. And I know you, the inspector, you have to call it out because you're right, it should be caulked properly. But at the same time, I know that if you ask a seller to caulk the bathtub, they're gonna be like, are you kidding me? So I will on the phone say, guys, caulk the bathtub when you close on the home. It's like, you know what I mean? But at the same time, just be careful to not give too much advice and lean on your inspector or Nathan and say, hey, my buyer read the inspection report and we have questions about, you know, this item, this item, this item, this item. Can we have a phone call with you? And most inspectors I work with will take the time to have that phone call. And if they won't, then you probably should work with Nathan, because you really don't want to be giving advice about things that you're not licensed to give advice on. So I was kind of off topic a little bit, but I think that's really one of the most important things to remember. Same with lending, right? If somebody says, hey, if my credit score goes up 20 points, how is that going to affect my rate? Yeah, you might have a pretty good idea, but that's really not your job, and you're not really licensed to do that. So you should say, let's get the lender on the phone. So same with the inspector.
Yeah, well, I do want to say thanks for letting me crash your party here. It's always fun doing these, and I do enjoy the education side of it. Kind of moving forward a little bit about the company. We're in 2022 is going to be a big growth year, so buckle up if you want to join our referral crew here. But we're trying to open a school as well, a home inspection school. Hopefully I can get that in mid 2022. And with that, I'll have an office I'm going to try to get some state approved CE credits for not only inspectors, but for realtors. That way you guys can come in and I can teach, or one of my instructors can teach, and you guys can get your CE credits.
That would be so awesome. And congratulations too. That's really awesome. Yeah.
Hopefully it works out this year. That's a big plan, big push.
It's going to be a good year.
Hopefully, yeah, hopefully. Again, thanks. It was nice meeting everyone. If any questions, shoot me an email. Let's see. I can just tell it to you. It's Nathan@HighlandHomeInspect.com. And then my phone number is 253-376-6659.
Perfect. And I will be sure to include that in the recap email as well for anybody that wasn't here today. So I will make sure that everybody gets that information. Thank you so much for being here with us today, Nathan. We really appreciate it. I think that was a great call by Christy to have you come in and like give that was awesome. So I also just want to say at the end of this that if any of our other agents have any ideas for Tech Tuesdays, they can totally fill out either my little form that I made, or you can just contact me directly, because we have great people like Nathan that come on and talk about awesome things. So we're really happy to have you, and thanks for being with us today.
Yeah, thanks. My pleasure.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Bye. Have a good day.